Peace, what's going on? This is Professor Parker, and this is All This Math. And today, we're going to talk about something that's kind of obscure, but it's a question that I was going over with some of my night school students just yesterday, right? I was going over this particular problem. It says, put 6c equals 2p minus 10. That's our equation. Into function notation. Excuse me if you can't read my handwriting. I hope you can though. The variable c is the independent variable. All right. Now, there's some steps that you go through in order to convert to function notation. First thing you want to do is you want to identify what the input is. All right. Now, the input is the same thing as the independent variable. So if the independent variable is c, then that means the input equals c, right? Now, in any function, you have an input and you have an output. Because a function as an equation is kind of like a machine. You put something in, you get something out. Just like when you put in a certain amount of effort into something, you get out a certain amount of return, right? So you put in a certain amount of hours of studying, you should get out, when you take the test, a certain grade, okay? A function, input, output, okay? So if your input is c, we only have two variables in this equation. The output must be the other variable. Output is p, right? Now, we want to solve for the output. Because remember, function notation, you might see an example that looks like this. F of x equals x plus 3. That's a random example of a function, right? Now, the output is the f of x part, right? The output and the f of x, or the dependent variable, they're all the same thing. So what does this mean? I want to have the output equal to an expression. So that means I want to solve for the output. So that means I need to solve, in this case, for p. All right, so I go back to this equation. I rewrite it right here. 6c equals 2p minus 10. So now, how do I solve for p? I want to isolate p on the right side of the equal sign. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate this negative 10 by doing the opposite operation. The opposite of subtracting 10 is adding 10. So I'm going to add 10 on the right side. Then I'm going to add 10 on the left side. Now over here, that's a 0. But over here, this is not 16c. It's not 16c. These are not like terms. You cannot combine these. We can, however, just write them next to each other, juxtaposed. 6c plus 10 is equal to 2p, right? All right, now, I want to solve for p. So that means I need to get rid of this 2. How do I get rid of 2? This is 2 times p. The opposite of multiplying by p is division. I'm going to divide this by 2, divide this by 2, and divide this by 2. So I got 6c divided by 2, which is 3c. I got 10 divided by 2, which is 5. I got 2p divided by 2, which is p, right? Then I could use what's called the symmetric property, and I can just basically flip this around, because usually I like to have what I'm solving for on the left-hand side. So I'm going to have p is equal to 3c plus 5. So we understand the symmetric property means that 3c plus 5 is equal to p, and at the same time, p is equal to 3c plus 5. Nothing changes. It's the two items or the two expressions are still equal to each other, regardless of how they're positioned. Whether one is on the left and the right, or you change the orientation, one is on the right and the other was on the left. They're still equal to each other. Now, function notation. We have the independent variable, or the input, should be inside the parentheses, right? So let's name this. Let's say, let's call this, I don't know, let's call it P. And parentheses. And then the independent variable goes inside the parentheses. So that's P of C is equal to 3C plus 5. And this is function notation. So we've taken this original equation and we put it in function notation. And that ladies and gentlemen, is the answer. The function p of c is equal to 3c plus 5. All right, now let's just recap. First, read your question, read the problem, identify what the input is. The input is c. Then from there, you identify what the output is. Then you go back to the equation, solve for the output. So we solve for p. All right, we solve for p, and then once we get p, then we switch p up because p is the dependent variable or the output. We rewrite it, right? And you need to have the name of a function. The name of this function, we call it p. You could have called it anything probably, right? But inside the parentheses, and again, this does not mean p times c. That's not what the parentheses mean in this context, in function notation. Sometimes parentheses do represent multiplication, but not right now. That's not what they're doing right now. All right, so we got p of c. That's how we read it, p of c, or the function p of c is equal to 3c plus 5. All right, cool. All right, thanks for tuning in, and please continue to send the pictures of your problems to the All This Math DM, and your particular math problem might end up on this board. Peace.